Okay, so what if I told you that one of the most powerful lessons for your life actually comes from an ancient battlefield? It sounds kind of crazy, right? But today, we're going to dive into some timeless wisdom from the Bhagavad Gita. We're talking about the warrior's path, karma yoga.
I want you to just imagine this for a second. You're standing right on the edge of the biggest moment of your life. I mean, the stakes are as high as they get, and your mind is just screaming one single question. Do I fight this or do I run? Well, this is exactly the spot the great warrior Arjuna finds himself in.
So Arjuna is completely paralyzed. I mean, this guy is a legendary hero, famous for his strength, but when he looks across the battlefield, he sees his own teachers, his family, staring back at him. Can you imagine? His heart is pounding. His mind is just a total storm of confusion. His duty suddenly feels like an absolute curse. It's a massive crisis. And right at the moment he's about to just give up, his guide, Krishna, starts to speak.
Now, you might think Krishna's first piece of advice would be a simple yes or no, fight or don't fight. But that's not what happens at all. Instead, he goes way deeper. He challenges the very foundation of Arjuna's whole problem, this idea that he could somehow just escape the situation by not doing anything. And this is the first huge lesson right here. There is no neutral ground. You are always acting. See, choosing to do nothing, choosing to run away, that is an action. It's a choice, and it has its own consequences. Like Krishna points out, nobody can stay inactive, not even for a second. We're always part of the flow of life.
Okay, so if action is basically unavoidable, then what are we supposed to do? What's the right way to act? This is where Krishna lays out the solution. He reveals this sacred path, one that's not about escaping the world, but about moving through it with real wisdom and strength. And this, right here, is the path of karma yoga.
So what is karma yoga? Well, it's the core idea of this whole thing, and it's basically a two-part practice. First, you perform your duty. You do your work with everything you've got. But the second part, and honestly, this is the game changer, you have to completely detach your heart from the results. You've got to free yourself from the chains of what you expect to happen.
And this all comes down to one foundational verse. You could call it the very heartbeat of karma yoga. It goes, Karmanye vadikarate ma paleshu karachana. And what does that mean? It means you have the right to your actions, but you never ever have a right to the fruits of your actions.
So let's look at what this really means, these two ways to act. On one side, you have a life that's totally chained to the results. Your happiness is just this wild roller coaster, right? Up with success and praise, down with failure and blame. But on the other side, you have a life that's freed by focusing only on the effort. You focus on what you can actually control, your duty, your strength, your intention, your dharma, which is just your righteous path, your true purpose.
And this right here, this is such a huge shift in how we think. I mean, we're all taught to focus on the goal, right? The win, the reward. But Krishna's teaching turns that upside down. He says our only real power, the only thing that's truly ours, is the quality of the effort we put in right here, right now. All right, let's take this to the final stage, because this is where everything builds to a really profound transformation. See, when you start to actually act from this place of selfless duty, it's not just about becoming more effective. It literally changes the very nature of the action itself. So just think about it for a second. When you can act without that desperate little voice of the ego needing praise, and you act without that constant fear of failure or what other people will say, something really incredible starts to happen.
That action, it gets purified. It stops being a transaction. I do this to get that. Your work doesn't matter if you're on a battlefield or sitting at a desk. It transforms into a sacred offering. It literally becomes an act of worship.
And ultimately, this is the whole point. By letting go of the results, you are finally free from all the anxiety and the pain that comes with them. You become liberated, right in the middle of all the action. This is the highest form of yoga. This is the path to real, unshakable inner peace.
And this is exactly what happens with Arjuna. Once he's armed with this wisdom, all that paralyzing doubt, it just melts away. He finally understands his sacred duty, his dharma, and so he rises up to fight. But here's the key, not for personal victory, but from a place of complete clarity and purpose. His mind is clear. His heart is finally steady.
So there you have it. That's the path from crippling doubt to powerful, purposeful action.
It really is a timeless lesson for any warrior facing any kind of battle on any field.
And so, in the end, the question gets turned back to us, to you. Let's forget the ancient battlefield for a moment and just look at your own life. What's the challenge that's sitting right in front of you? What's the duty that you need to rise for? Not for the reward, not for the outcome, but purely for the sake of the action itself.